Underdog Daily with the Badge Bros, John, Nez, and special guest, Unabated's own Justin Phan joining us here. You guys know him and love him for all those on the top, on the ball alerts in the Discord to make sure you're ahead of the news. Some of the best projections in the game as well. We're gonna walk through opening night in NBA. We got NBA tip-off tonight, 2 nationally televised prime time games. Gentlemen, how we feeling about hoops being back?
Genuinely excited here. I might feel differently in January when the season has beaten me down and I'm just a tired man, just trying to, survive a 12-game slate. But now I'm genuinely excited. We had a nice little summer. Make sure to do a little, touch the grass a little bit.
There you go.
See friends I haven't seen in 8 months. And yeah, this is great. I think this is a great slate of games. Really interesting stuff to talk about with these 2 games here. And, excited to be back on the show, chopping up with you guys.
Love it, man. Yeah, appreciate you doing so. Just to give people like a little familiarity with Unabated, obviously we use what we call the beautiful interface every single day. We're making DFS pick'ems for Underdog alongside there, but you guys provide projections every single day there for the hoops slates. We'll walk through where people can find those and that sort of thing. But you guys have been our 101 resource over the last year here for hoop stuff. And Nez, I don't want to be like too brash or whatever, but we've had a little success in the hoop streets, have we not?
Yeah. Last year we had a lot of success. Just to be frank with it, and honestly, given the way that my NFL season started, I'd love to rekindle the conversations of how well NBA season went last year. So yeah, excited to pick things back up here with you guys and get started here. You mentioned how tired you are by January, and I mean, if you're a sub, you know why. You guys do so much work round the clock, as do we, as drafters. But not to be stolen valor here. You guys work really hard with the 24/7 news cycle that is the NBA. So yeah, it's been a huge help, always has been. So yeah, excited to kick off another season.
Damn right, man. Let's get into it, boys. Let's get into it. We got 2 gamer tonight. Let's talk some macro stuff here before we get into the isolated rotations and what these teams could look like tonight. Let's get some draft game thoughts going, Justin, because you were, for people who don't know, you were a longtime part of Underdog. You were Fantasy Labs before that. You were the guy who started the NBA news team at Underdog there with the account that we've grown so familiar with for news there. So methinks you've been cooking in the lobbies on the employee side for years there. Let's just kind of get some high-level thoughts on, what you think of draft games for NBA.
Yeah, I think particularly today, I kind of checked out the ADP rankings, and I think there are like a lot of pretty big edges just kind of towards the back end of the draft. I think the front end's pretty straightforward. You look at a team like the Lakers without LeBron, it's going to be very concentrated between Luka and Austin Reeves. You look at OKC without Jalen Williams, it's going to be very concentrated between SGA and Chet. Same thing with the Rockets. They're a little decimated right now. It's going to be very concentrated between Amen, KD, and Şengün. So I think the top section of the draft is fairly correct. I didn't really see too many discrepancies on the top end, but I think where you can really win and separate is on the back end. Just knowing these rotations, knowing the fragility of certain minutes, knowing that Steve Kerr might go a little deeper today. Maybe OKC has to go a little more condensed because there's no Isaiah Joe and J-Dub. So knowing these like rotation dynamics could really lead to some big edges. So I think, there's a couple guys I'm already seeing on the back end of these drafts that present a lot of value relative to ADP. I don't know if you want to kind of start there, or, we can identify, throw some out, or, what do you guys have in mind?
Yeah, let's start shooting from the hip here and giving people some names there, because I'm interested to see if they're similar to what I was thinking here. So I have the same take as you right now, where it's like we never know what Steve Kerr is going to do on a night-to-night basis. Just to reset everybody for NBA season, it's just never Kerr. We have no idea what he's thinking there. We already have one definitive starting lineup from the Rockets, and it does not include Reed Shepherd. They're going to start big tonight and play big. So a lot of mixed feelings on Reed Shepherd. And then, yeah, these back end ADP guys of like what's going to happen with no Isaiah Joe, no J Dub, as you alluded to. Like people are ready to crown Alex Caruso as playoff Alex Caruso here in certain avenues, or are we taking more of a step back from that stance there? So let's hear some of the thoughts on some of those mispriced back end options.
Yeah, I think the four best values can be found on two teams, Houston and OKC. So let's start with Houston. You mentioned that Reed Shepherd is not starting. They're going, double big with Steven Adams instead of Reed Shepherd. I think we can look at, they had a preseason dress rehearsal game recently. It's their second last one. We saw what their rotations would look like. It gave us a pretty good idea of where Udoka actually stood on Reed Shepherd, which he's not that much of a fan, which is why we went double big. I think when Fred VanVleet went down initially, we were thinking, oh, Reed Shepherd probably going to start now in his place. It's his year, his second year, high draft pick. He'll just step in that role. Has not been that case. So we look at that dress rehearsal, and I think a really good way to look at that dress rehearsal is look at first half minutes. And two guys who got really extended in the first half of that dress rehearsal were Tari Eason and Steven Adams. I feel better about Tari just because we know Steven Adams, grizzled vet. He played 15 minutes in that first half of the dress rehearsal. I think theoretically he could get up to like upper 20s minutes. Okay. But Tari is a guy that I feel will have a really big role in this spot. Tari is the guy that they're already kind of talking about along with Adams. That's going to be load managed this season. I expect Tari and Steven Adams to not play back-to-backs, at least to start the year. So in these types of spots, when they're thinner, they can afford to extend their minutes a little, knowing that they can rest them selectively down the stretch. When a Jayshawn Tate gets back, you can scale back Tari's minutes. When a Dorian Finney-Smith gets back, you can scale down Tari's minutes. And then same with, they have Clint Capella. They added him. You can slide him in behind Şengün as the backup center and rest Adams, right? So those two guys, I think, are pretty good values at their current ADPs. Tari particularly, he played like 15 and a half minutes in the first half of that dress rehearsal off the bench. I mean, Their bench is very iffy. We don't know if Aaron Holiday is even going to play. Holiday was a DNP-CD in the first half of that dress rehearsal. Reed Shepherd, we'll get into him a little bit. I think he's very polarizing, has pretty big minutes downside generally. He could be marginalized. And that really leaves like Eason as one of the only like really solid, reliable options on the bench for Udoka today. And, he's a guy that they can kind of run, an 8.5 man rotation, and Tari is that 6 man that might play 28 to 30 minutes potentially. So really like Tari Eason today, just minutes wise.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ness. Go ahead.
No, I mean, hey, listen, it's not normally minutes wise for Tari Eason when we're talking about, hey, I like Tari Eason. So when you can project good minutes for Tari Eason, I mean, I'm all ears, man. We love Tari Eason around these parts. So if you're giving me 28 minutes of Tari Eason with some upside, if Steven Adams can't hang, but I think they're going to play Steven Adams as much as he can handle. But with that said, Tari Eason, insert him. That's really exciting. I mean, now will the efficiency take a hit against OKC? Almost certainly, but he's a point per minute monster. So add minutes. He's a very exciting play back here. I'm with you. I've been kind of up in arms between him or even Jabari Smith as a 1v1 because Jabari is a fantasy point contributor doesn't have that same firepower as Tari on a per minute basis. So love that we are on the same page there with Tari.
Yeah, I like that point a lot there, Ness, where it's like you're either looking at the rates minute monster guy that you're going to then hopefully give more minutes to, or you're looking at the guys on the slate that have, bankable 30 minutes kind of thing with lower point per minute output. So the Jabari versus Tari is like a really good one. We can go down the rabbit hole of Rui and that sort of comp in a second there. Maybe Gabe Vincent, something like that, where it's like you're projecting minutes, but you're not necessarily projecting fantasy points and high usage tethered to them. Just kind of like an evergreen principle. Just thoughts on like the macro of the slate here before we go to the other OKC example, guys, of like targeting ceiling, like those archetypes of players versus targeting like mean projection style players on these two gamers.
So looking at the ADP so far, just with this slate, I think it changes with each slate, kind of your strategy.
Right.
For me, if I was playing, admin drafts today against, and taking Oaks' money,
Yep.
I would just be trying to make solid picks early on and win in the later portion of the draft with the Taris, the Steven Adams, two others we'll talk about later. So I don't feel the need to get too fancy early on and take big swings when I feel like I have edges later on in the draft.
Okay. Yeah, that checks out. So you would still be fine, like, taking the Jabari Smiths, taking the Ruiz, just knowing that they're giving like a high floor to our lineup because we're going to win elsewhere kind of deal.
This is just a tough slate overall, though, because we have a lot of really good defenses, outside of the Lakers. They're like the, clown with the soldiers meme. It's just the three soldiers and the Lakers. OKC, incredible defense. Houston, very solid. The length on that team is insane. They're 6'7", 6'11", 6'11", 6'11", 6'11" in that starting lineup. And the Warriors, obviously, post Jimmy Butler trade were really solid. They added Al Horford as well. So these are like, spots where you're getting guys with really good roles and really good minutes, but tough matchups, right? Like Amen Thompson is a really good example of that today. Like Amen, just given how thin they are without Van Vliet, given how shaky Reed Shepherd is, I would not be shocked if Amen gets up to like 37, 38 minutes, right? But Amen has to deal with the torture chamber most likely and a OKC defense that doesn't give it up in transition. So it's just like you have these spots where you have really good roles, but really bad matchups. And, do you kind of err that way with the floor, or do you err, on potentially looking at the Warriors, right? I think the Warriors are a really interesting spot because the Warriors today, we have Steve Kerr coming out saying he might play 11 players, which is insane. They start out with 3 games in 4 nights. So they play a back-to-back on Thursday and Friday. So that's another reason why we might see them like manage minutes. And we know Kerr is Kerr, he might big brain a starting lineup change tonight. We might see, I don't know, like Quentin Post start or something. It wouldn't shock me. We know what Steve Kerr is about. But they have a very good matchup against the Lakers, right? But you have to deal with the minutes floor, the fragility there if he doesn't want to push Jimmy Butler that much, if he doesn't want to push Draymond that much, if he really wants to get Horford to literally 20 minutes, that mark that he threw around, right? Maybe he doesn't want to play Podziemski a ton and plays, GP2 a little bit more to guard Luka, right? So there's a lot of like elements at play. I think for me, I'm still a projections guy. I'm going to just kind of follow what the numbers say. And in these spots, the numbers are telling you to kind of lean a little bit more into the that floor, that role, rather than kind of take swings at matchups.
Okay. Yeah, let's now that we're on Warriors, just before we jump back to OKC, we're kind of bouncing around here, but the Warrior stuff is very interesting. Do you guys have Horford greater than 20 right now?
Yeah.
Because
So we think that Horford 20 minutes a game quote is more about when they're at full strength, right? I think when Moses Moody is back, they'll be able to keep him at that number pretty easily, especially if they want to go deep in rotation, right? They're going to sit him either Thursday or Friday as well. That helps. So in this spot where they're a little thinner, where they could use, Horford against DeAndre Ayton, we have him at 23 minutes right now. But I think his range is kind of like 20 to 24. I think that feels a little bit more correct, where he's a little bit above that just in this spot, and then in the future that they can definitely scale him down.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well said. Good insight into the mind of how projecting minutes kind of just works in an isolated scenario. Let's talk about those other two targets you were saying on OKC here on the Thunder.
Yeah, so want to kind of get in there. They're a spot kind of like Houston where they're decimated by injuries. No J-Dub, no Isaiah Joe, and then obviously the Topic and Kenrich Williams have been out. So they're thin enough. This is a team that is probably the deepest team in the league generally when healthy, and they're in a peculiar spot where they are thinned out. Where we're probably going to get a little bit of Brooks Barnhizer today at the end of the rotation. A lot of people don't know, Northwestern great. Brooks Barnhizer, that guy was playing a ton of minutes in the preseason, but they're thin. That's where they are right now. I wouldn't add him to the queue just yet. Let's not get too creative.
Pat, you give me an inch, I take a mile, bro. You give me an inch, I'm like, yo, I'm scrolling this fucking guy all day today.
100% Brooks Barnhizer.
Gave him a heart attack. God.
So two guys I do think are undervalued today relative to ADP are Alex Caruso and Aaron Wiggins. So let's start with Caruso. So they ran that dress rehearsal, the OKC Thunder did, and they started Caruso with Cason Wallace off the bench. We're fully expecting Caruso to get the start here, and they're going to really need his defense in this spot against KD. Caruso is a guy who actually guards up like bigger players more often now than perimeter players. Like he is routinely guarding like fours.
Yeah, he was guarding some fives and switching off in the playoffs last year.
Yeah. So like his defense with the size of Houston is going to be so important. Where Cason might be a little small for this matchup. Caruso can hang. Caruso can handle his own, and we've seen Caruso in these spots get up with the minutes. Right, this is a spot where the OKC generally is going to be very, very deep. And on a Tuesday night against Washington, you can play Caruso 20 minutes and feel fine, and just keep him fresh. In this spot against Kevin Durant and the number of guys that he'll have to guard today, he can get up to 28 minutes potentially, right? The back end of this rotation isn't that great with Brooks Barnhizer, Chris Youngblood, Ousmane Dieng, but not guys you really want to throw out there against a veteran team like Houston. So Caruso's a guy who should start, has a clear, defensive role against KD. Some of these guys like Caruso, they could be out there for 28 minutes and not do a ton and be a lot more impactful in terms of real life value than put up stats. But we'll just pocket the minutes, right? That's what I'm interested in. That's our angle. Aaron Wiggins, I think, a little bit another option here off the bench. They'll kind of run like a 4.5 man rotation off the bench. Cason Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, Jalen Williams, and then AJ Mitchell. But Wiggins, he's a very hot and cold type player. We saw the dramatic splits for him in the finals. I think that was very exemplary. He would drop 18 at home and then be scoreless on the road. Yeah. Luckily for us, he is at home today. So, I do think this is a spot where Wiggins should be kind of the clear, one of the clear top two options off the bench today alongside Cason Wallace. His minutes should be kind of in the mid-20s, and he should be in a good position to put up some stats. So he is a little, like I said, feast and famine at times.
Nice. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm a big Wiggins guy, so I like it too. And I know we don't play for blowout run around here, but when you're looking at a slate that features two games that have like basically the exact same total, the unabated line at 227 and 226 here. This one fluctuating between 7.5 and 6.5, kind of all day long in the favor of the Thunder. That if there was ever a spot on this slate where one team played above the spread there, that like who would be in there to finish off that game when they're up 11, up 12 with 4 minutes left? Like that's Aaron Wiggins' music in my mind.
For sure.
Yeah, and I see him as like a more of like a get his bucket type of guy too. And with J-Dub out, with the second unit, he could be asked to do a little bit offensively. If they ever give him any like Shayless minutes, I think that he would probably have, some nice usage in those scenarios. So he's definitely one of my favorite picks that go late. I was kind of trying to decipher through these Thunder guys, as I've been doing my drafts, and he kind of stuck out given the injuries, where I just think he has, in terms of like a ceiling. I think Aaron Wiggins does have a pretty nice ceiling, because we're going to be probably lucky to get 20 fantasy points out of some of these guys in the 6th round. And Wiggins, I think, definitely has, some pretty a pretty decent ceiling, just based on like his ability to fill it up if he does get the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, he could be like a top 20 option today, just in terms of FanDuel scoring on the slate. I think he's going like 25 or something last time I checked, like pretty low relative to where he should be. 23, 24, something like that, right?
Yeah, he's pushed up a little bit.
Yeah,
he's pushed up a little bit this morning comparative to last night. Last night he was free in drafts. This morning he's kind of like going every time, but in that like 18 to 23 range, pending the room that you're in and how people are mixing and matching. Because like I selfishly wrote down 3 major points of pain for me to get through on this slate, and one we haven't touched on yet. It's the Luka versus SGA that we can have in a minute there. That was one of them for me. This next one that you're talking about here, the Wiggins, Cason Wallace, and Caruso kind of like debate of these 3, because I've seen projected starting lineups from like 4 different sources that one has Wiggins in it, one has Cason in it, and one has Alex Caruso in it. Like I'm drinking the Kool-Aid of where you're at with the Caruso starting here now, especially given the dress rehearsal information there. But the fact that he starts there, if I told you tonight you could have 28 minutes of Caruso or you could have 22 minutes of Aaron Wiggins, who would we prefer?
28 of Caruso, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I understand the argument, but Wiggins isn't automatic enough for me to just give him the benefit. I'll just take the minutes, at that rate, and I think there's a very good point about the second unit of OKC too. They're lacking extra scoring punch today without J-Dub. So I could see the Wiggins path for sure, but I think Caruso just has a very established solid role within this game. And his skill set of being able to defend KD, just makes him a lot more invaluable in this spot. And I think the floor is a little safer there for him. Okay.
Yeah, seems good. Definitely some other spots I want to talk through here, Nez, but I want to hit on the chat real quick. Shout out to David, who had another Primetime Palooza takedown last night. Something like 7K. He drops off 5 Badge Bros membership.
Hey.
Magikarp dropping off 5, a renowned Hoops guy, Dog Bowl qualifier as well. And then our guy Spike, who took down a BR earlier this year, he's reminding everybody it's Hoops season and dropping off 10 Badge Bros memberships. Honestly, the most loyal and supportive community in the biz here. We had 50 dropped off yesterday. That's another 20 dropped off today. Everyone's cooking. Everyone's excited for multi-sport draft season here.
At this point, I'm just shocked when we have somebody in the chat that isn't a member at this point, because people just give out dozens a day. It's just we never. You would think that we asked for them. You would think that we'd be on our hands and knees asking for our chat members to donate. I mean, just truly the best. We appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to make good on those on tomorrow or Thursday there, Nez, by putting either the basketball slate or the Primetime Palooza slate behind the paywall, and then leaving the definitive preview free for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool.
Right.
Yeah. Ben,
so we covered 4 guys that I think are really good values, like in drafts. I want to cover a couple fades that are overpriced, overvalued right now, that you should have next to no exposure at their current ADPs. I checked the ADP maybe like an hour ago, so it might have moved a little bit. But number 1 by far for me in terms of fades was Reed Shepherd. I mean, his ADP is absurd. I mean, the ADP is almost assuming that he starts, which we obviously know he isn't. I could see Paz for Reed Shepherd this year, but not in these types of matchups. When you put him in a matchup with a very good offense, his size and his defensive, let's say, shortcomings
Yeah.
are a lot more apparent. We saw in the dress rehearsal, Reed Shepherd played 8 minutes in the first half. And that, like I said, was without Aaron Holiday, who we actually have projected for minutes today. Aaron Holiday gives him a different dimension, gives him a guy who can guard SGA. Reed Shepherd, is poor man's Gabe Vincent for me on this slate, where if the shot isn't falling, we could see the minutes really get shaky. I think Gabe at least is starting and has a bit of a floor there to guard Steph, and he actually isn't a bad defender because he's out there to guard Steph. But kind of the same principle applies. You have Aaron Holiday behind Reed Shepherd. You have Marcus Smart behind Gabe Vincent. So with Reed, I just am not a big fan of him in this spot, and I think his range is very wide, and that ADP just gives him way too much credit. And for him to hit that ADP of, was it 18? You probably have to score like 27 underdog points to get in that range. For me, 27 for Reed Shepherd is probably like a 80th percentile outcome, if not higher. It just gives him a lot of credit there.
Yeah, well said. I think people, are really wish casting the small ball narrative here, and we have a lineup that already says it's not coming. They're also wish casting that he'll be like first man up, and Amon has like the poor handling role or whatever, or like Amon can't shoot, and the spacing's tragic with him out there. They need a ball handling plus like arc guy, and people are wish casting that. But this doesn't really feel like the spot for it, given the fact that he's going to be dealing with Cason Wallace, Dort, like all those type of defenders, even when he does finally, and if he gets those minutes there. I love this dress rehearsal stuff. I'm looking at it right now. That was Tuesday's game against the Pelicans you're referring to?
It's their second last one, I believe. So you just go to first half minutes there, and you're able to kind of look at their rotation. So their rotation, I have it here. So 18 minutes in the first half for KD, Amen, and Şengün. All those three should be very heavily involved. Jabari at 16, Steven Adams and Tari Eason at 15, Reed Shepherd at 8, Clint Capella at 6, and Josh Okogie at 5. So that is generally the look. And I think the run out for Reed you want, maybe they get down like 15, 20 points, and they just need to kind of throw them in there to hit some threes and play catch up. But in like a competitive close game, they're gonna force switches. They're gonna hunt Reed Shepherd. It's just gonna be a problem for him being out there.
Yeah, I like that. They're gonna hunt him as soon as he's out there, because everybody else on the floor is so long, and as soon as he gets out there, it's like, hey, let's just get some switches and get SGA to him and drive on him. One of the best guys at going to the rack and drawing fouls in the league.
So one more guy I want to identify that is a fade for me at their ADP late is Buddy Hield. So Buddy Hield, I think, is not clickable today, in large reason because Steve Kerr's already talking about going 11 deep, and that the math isn't mathing at that point where Buddy Hield can't get up to. It's hard for him to get up to like 25, 26 minutes if they're playing like 10, 11 guys, right? They're going to put Will Richard in there, who they got out of Florida, who got a couple spot starts this preseason. They might they're probably going to throw Guy Santos out there as well.
Of course.
And then you also have GP2, who's going to be in the mix, and a good matchup for the Warriors here to guard Luka. And then obviously you have like Steph and Pods, so it just becomes hard to see Buddy get up there in minutes. You also have Kuminga, right? Kuminga is another guy. It's tough with the spacing for him to start here with Jimmy and Draymond, but it wouldn't shock me if Kuminga started. Like maybe they start him and they can put him on Luka a little bit at times. So he's another guy that they just, gave a contract to, who is in there as well. It's just a lot of guys in that like 2 to 3 like wing rotation. If they're playing a Will Richard, that makes it harder for Buddy to really get up there. So for me, instead of Buddy Hield, take Lou Dort take Aaron Wiggins, take Steven Adams. I think all those three have ADPs higher than Buddy Hield right now. Instead of Reed Shepard, take Alex Caruso, take Case and Wallace instead. So I think those are kind of clear pivots for me when looking late in the draft.
Yep, I mean that makes total sense given the Kerr headache that we are about to endure tonight.
Yeah.
By the sounds of it. So yeah, Healed when he's like starting and like being forced into minutes, like we like the ceiling because he can catch fire from three, of course. But yeah, in this spot, it definitely seems thin. Like I am a Buddy Healed guy, but everything you said rings true, and got to be smart about the clicks we're making. And you need, similar to Reed, like you were saying, you need such a high percentile outcome from him, he's got to like run hot on stocks, he's got to hit every shot, it's just you're asking a lot from those two. So yeah, I'm with
and look, these prototypes guys are kind of the same, right? They're take shot and make shot or miss shot, right? Like a lot of their run out is dependent on if their shot's falling. I like a little bit more of a floor there to know that Alex Caruso, his shot doesn't need to fall. He can go 0 for 5 and still be out there for 30 minutes to guard KD, play great defense, rebound, etc. Like he can impact the game in many more ways. With these guys, yeah, could they pay off their ADP if they get hot? Absolutely. But that requires a little bit more specific of a run out, and it's there's a lot of downside there as well.
Yes.
Yeah, makes sense, guys. I want to get to all the nasty, dirty scrolls at the back end where we could potentially find some dumpster diving stuff. But I think we should do our due diligence on the top end of the draft board here a little bit first, because I want to have the conversation of the Luka versus SGA this evening, because it was a flat 1-0-1 for Luka the majority of the day, and now things are kind of pivoting and whatever. Call me a dunce cap here, boys, but I see Luka without Braun, and I see the less intimidating defensive matchup of the two, and I simply say Luka go Burr, and I click Luka over SGA. Am I oversimplifying things here? Is there a bull case here that I should be flipping those two at the front end of draft boards?
I don't think this. I'm just gonna say I don't think this is where you're gonna lose your draft. So okay. I think both of them are in very good spots. If I had to pick, I would lean Luka slightly, like you said, because of the matchup. The Warriors don't have that lockdown Iguodala type that they had before. They're going to kind of throw a couple bodies at Luka. We saw Luka's usage rate during the preseason without LeBron be at 38%. So his role is going to be massive. SGA has to deal with the Men Thompson, who I have a lot of respect for. We look at SGA versus OKC last year. He had one 51-point explosion against Houston, but then I went to go look at that box score. Guess who was out? Amen Thompson was not playing that game. So, when Amen's in there, SGA is SGA, the MVP. I'm not going to, talk shit or like poo-poo him in any way. It's a little tougher today when you have Amen Thompson on you. So I would slightly prefer Luka, but you're not going to lose your draft with either of these guys.
Yeah, good shouts.
I'm with you. Yeah. Top two pick is absolutely where you want to be, obviously. And yeah, I know that there's fine people on both sides. I'm personally playing the ADP of Luka 1, SGA 2.
Yeah, that's where I came out as well there. I think this next pocket is really fun to talk through, though. Like, if the Warriors run 11 deep, if they have, as you alluded to, 3 games in 4 nights here, like what ceiling from Steph can we truly get? I did just watch the Steph versus Steph and Bryson break 50 challenge there and found out I knew Steph was a stick. I didn't know how effing good he was at golf. Like, he was out driving Bryson a couple of times, and I just instantly got bullish on Steph this year.
We gotta check the underdog scoring if Green's a regulation and just get out of the stack category.
Yeah. What's the birdie bonus out here for him tonight? But then you get into the 3 Rockets pieces there, and we know they're going to be condensed tonight. And just walk me through it, fam. Like, how do we think the ball is going to distribute through them? Do we think Amon's really a true 1 here? KD, 37 years old, was camped out in the corner for the majority of those dress rehearsal games. What can we kind of expect from this next grouping here? Is Curry truly a tier above this next group?
I don't think so. I think the matchup for him is what separates. Like Steph is going to be guarded by some combination of Gabe Vincent and older, oft injured Marcus Smart, who we don't know, who has a reputation, but reputation isn't what you are physically today. You might be a different defender 5-6 years ago, and Father Time is undefeated. So for Steph, the matchup is pristine. You look at Houston, the problem is that they're playing OKC. It's a tough matchup all around. I think it's just a matter of like parsing the Houston guys and seeing like who has the better of the spots. I would rank them, 1A, 1B for me would be Şengün and KD. And then Amen trails behind those guys a little bit. The matchup just is really tough for Amen because OKC does a very good job shutting off the transition game. So he's not going to get a lot of looks there. And when you kind of look in the half court, which, Houston's offense should be in a lot of half court offense today. It should be running through Şengün and Kevin Durant mostly. We kind of saw Team USA get stagnant at times and just hand the ball to KD and be like, go hit a mid-range jumper and save us, please. He did that, many times. So that's going to be a lot of what I think is going to see. He's going to have a pretty good size advantage against Caruso. We know KD is one of the best, contested, tough shot makers in NBA history with that jumper. But Şengün, I want to give Şengün flowers too. Like Şengün in the preseason was incredible. Averaged 13, 8, and 9 in 24 minutes a game. 8.7 assists per game for Şengün in the preseason, tied for the most in the preseason with Trae Young. So he's going to be like the hub for this offense, along with the Ben Thompson. And, I think there's some Şengün, like 5.5 assist markets out there that I kind of like depending on the price. But because I do think a lot of what Houston's going to have to do, like I said, is run half court, and Şengün is going to be one of the hubs there. So, I think it's really close. I think you can make an argument for Steph, KD, Şengün at 3. My lean would just be towards Steph just because of the matchup. I think it's just so good. This Lakers defense is going to be pretty bad, and it's by far the worst defense on this 2-game slate.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm fully with you. Steph's ceiling, I think, is just like, easier to see. And like, I think you're going to get that more, you run this slate 100,000 times, whatever, you're going to see a Steph ceiling more often than the Houston guys. Cause it can come, and there's a lot of different ceilings to be hit here with the usage going around with Houston. Just want to say, love the Şengün take. I think you're going to see a lot of Şengün, in terms of like offense kind of going through him, and like like offense starts with like an inbound or an entry pass to Şengün, and then like how do we get it to KD from there? And if we're not getting it to KD, like what's Şengün doing? He's probably taking it to the rack, or looking for an outlet pass there. So I really do like Şengün here. I just think he's going to have the ball a ton, and like you said, the assist angle I think just makes a ton of sense.
I like your guys' ball knower take here of like going back to what we saw from the offense. Like, I guess it would have been like a year and a half ago when they played without Fred VanVleet before, where so much ran through Şengün at the top with the ball in his hands instead of just running high side screen and roll where Fred VanVleet had the ball in his hands. Like that difference right there really, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Offense was like, it was so ugly without Fred VanVleet. It was like, it was atrocious. Like, it was just like, let's get an offensive rebound and hope we can, get a basket right after. So like Şengün, I think, has to be a facilitator, and KD helps out a ton as well.
Right. Yeah. It's not like you have, what exacerbates that for me is like, it's not like you have like a Tyus Jones as your backup point guard. Your backup point guards today are Reed Shepherd and Aaron Holiday. So neither of which are you running an offense through. So, it puts even more of an emphasis on Şengün and take on that like high post distributing role and be kind of that hub of that offense, especially with the men, dealing with the tough matchup and Lou Dort in his own right.
Yeah. Um, Guys, usually we spend so much time on the injury report. Like we've kind of talked around the injury report today with like some of the auxiliary pieces out, and then the obvious stuff like LeBron being out and J Dub being out, who would be like two huge pieces on this slate. But when we're not dealing with Q tags, never say never, because LOL hoops out here. Anything can happen at a moment's notice. That's why you have to stay glued to the news and glued to the Discord alerts channel there. But any reason to be concerned with these probable tags today for Jimmy and Kuminga?
No, I fully expect both of them to go. Let's see. We got this report. We got this report from one of the Clutch Points guys that they're going to play it. We didn't really go with it just yet.
Okay.
But the talk has been both are fine. Both will go. And, I think Jimmy, maybe they can afford to not like push him a ton minutes wise. I'm not like super enthusiastic about clicking Jimmy today. We have him at 32 minutes. Could I see like 30, 31? Absolutely. Especially just given they're going 11 deep. But otherwise, like not too concerned with Kuminga. I mean, he's a young dude, needs to get out there. Going to have, that mid-20s bench role regardless, They're not really going to push him much beyond that.
Actually, yeah, it's funny you say bench role there. Obviously, they paid him, and there's coach speak stuff from Kerr saying that he doesn't love the overlap between what was it, Jimmy, Draymond, and Kuminga.
And Kuminga, yeah.
Yeah. So starting lineup for them today. I know we teased that hey, maybe Post could be in there, maybe Horford's off the bench, whatever. What do you guys kind of like tentatively most likely projecting today?
I just want to be like honest. I think there's a lot of people that are just like project false confidence and projecting in these lineups. I'm just gonna say it's Steve Kerr. Like we don't know. I think there's three that make the most sense in Horford, Kuminga, and GP2. But there are bare cases against starting all of them. Horford, if they want to really manage his minutes, they can bring him off the bench today and play him 20. GP2, like he's more of a matchup start against Luka. And then Kuminga, we talked about the spacing, right? So I don't think there's like an easy solution here for Kerr. So, I mean, we have Horford, the lightest of pencils penciled in. You can just barely see it. If you squint, you could maybe see Kuminga or Peyton there instead. Okay. So it's a very soft lean. I'm not going to go in here projecting some sort of confidence that we have an angle here. Okay. And there's not much of an angle anyways, because they're going to play 11 deep. So it's like these minutes aren't going to like get cranked up a lot. Like we have GP2. I think we have 16 minutes right now. If he starts, we're not going to go higher than 18. We've seen these starts in the past. He doesn't play a ton, as a starter. If Horford starts, we're not going to give him much more than like 24. We're at 23, right? If Kuminga starts, maybe we take him up the most out of those three from the 24 he's at now. So maybe it doesn't go well, though. Maybe they start that lineup, the spacing's horrific, and they go a different way in the second half, right? I mean, that's another run out, right? We see that very often where Kerr starts Quentin or Trace Jackson Davis, and then Quentin Post starts the second half. Like that, I think is also well within the Steve Kerr playbook too.
Yeah, we dealt with that in the postseason so much last year, where we were playing these 2-gamer slates, going 24 deep, and like, oh, I pulled the wool over everybody's eye by getting a low-owned Post to start, and then it doesn't even matter. He plays 8 minutes or whatever, and he doesn't even get 2 quick ones or anything like that. It's just like
and then you get we started this legacy game.
I know we started getting to the point where we almost wanted to project the backup for more minutes than the starter with Kerr, because we get so many spots where the starter would just play like 8 to 12 minutes, and it'd just be like, we like pick off a stale Quentin Post line, get overs and feel good about ourselves because he's starting, and then just like get destroyed. Like he goes, he like puts up like 2 points and 3 rebounds in 8 minutes. We're like, great, like. Thank you, Steve Kerr.
Guys, I just want to take like half a second here. I know Justin said no shilling on the program, but I'm going to do the shilling. on the program, because I truly love, man. I was honestly, prior to you getting to Unabated, I was not overly familiar with Unabated. And now I think a large subset of our community has latched on, especially to the NBA product, because it's just so good and it's so fun and it's differentiating than some of the other stuff out in the industry there. So there's natural leg up in just getting the differentiated projection when these are equally sharp sources. It's just slightly different, right? And when we're dealing with games that are like fractions of differences in EV, that's a very very good value add. I'm just going to drop in the chat for everybody. You've put together this article in the past here of just how to get the most out of the NBA product. So I'm just going to drop that in there. People can take a look, pricing and all that stuff on their own accord. But projections daily. How many shows a week are you guys going to be running, Justin?
We'll see. The shows are TBD. Okay. I think, we're focusing a lot of our bandwidth on the projections and the news. And I think we might do like abbreviated videos or write-ups instead for our subs. But yeah, I mean, we're around the Discord 24/7 answering questions. I think for us, I'm going to do the lightest bit of shilling. It's kind of cringy, but the projections, performed really well last season. We aren't a pick service. We aren't touts, but we measured the performance of our, edges that were 5% or greater, and they returned 8% ROI, which is very good, in my opinion. And you can be even more selective within that 5+% sample and increase your ROI even further, right? So I think the projections did well. We have conditional projections that we launched last year, which we identify a couple of key players, key injuries, and then give you the option to toggle, the Lakers if LeBron is in or out, right? Or the Lakers if LeBron and Luka are in and out. We can support up to 4 projection sets. And there are news as well. Obviously that has been a big part of what I've done for the last decade, from Fantasy Labs to Underdog to here at Unabated, giving you the best news alerts, the fastest news alerts in the industry. I think for us, we're a little bit more hardcore just with the news alerts and not mixing in any general NBA stuff or anything else. So all you're going to get is what you need, actionable information. And then we have our percent play metric that is updated throughout the day. We might start out, I'm not trying to confuse people, but Donovan Mitchell doesn't play today. Donovan Mitchell, we might start him at 40% to play. Doesn't go through shoot around. We'll downgrade him to 30%. And that's based on the latest info. We also this summer put together a really extensive injury database for the last 3 years. So we're able to tell you when Donovan Mitchell has a hamstring injury, how many times when he's questionable, how many times has he played in the past? When a player is downgraded from not on the injury report to questionable with an illness, how many times historically has that player played? So we have all that information compiled. We'll be surfacing those insights to our members as part of our news package this year. And then that's also factoring into our percent play metric as well. So all that stuff, I think that whether you're betting props, playing, a DFS, getting in these, battle royale streets, the pick'em streets, just giving everybody the tools they need to be profitable in all those different areas.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I mean, Nez and I can both attest to it last year. And I will say, as much as we love the good people at Underdog and stuff like that, the news updates are a little bit faster in the Discord here now that the star pupil moved over to Unabated than the Twitterverse. And when we're playing a game of information, and especially being like in live draft lobbies, especially on mobile, guys, getting that pop-up notification that someone's been ruled out faster than the out tag appears on the site and playing some of that contingent value, I mean, it can make all the difference in the world, because we're just looking for one lineup a night. And if you get that piece of news at the perfect moment, when you happen to be sitting in 3-4 drafts there, you can really capitalize and create a super team. Great stuff there, man. I'll keep dropping stuff in the chat for people, and they know every single day, regardless of sport that we're talking about, we are using the beautiful interface and we are building out with the Pick'em tool there. So guys, let's move back to the platform, maybe hop in a draft or two together here and talk it all through in real time. But the last question before doing so there, fam, is can I get cheeky tonight? Can I scroll past, you told me Aaron Wiggins, you told me these nice players at the bottom here. Can I get crazy tonight, man? Can I go searching for Dalton Connect being discount Reed Shepherd to hit 4 threes off the bench? Can I get crazy if Gary Payton starts? Can I go, hey, Steven Adams gets 2 quick ones. Clint Capella's playing 22 tonight. Can I play anything crazy like this for leverage at the back end of my drafts tonight?
Let's see how crazy we want to get. Let's scroll a little. So looking at the 23-9 guys, I feel like my grandparents right now trying to like squint and get close to the screen. Can you make the text 25? Like, no, this is so embarrassing. All right. I do like Jake LaRavia quite a bit in this spot. I think he has a path. That second unit for the Lakers is a bit rough. And he's a guy that's been proven and should have a good role tonight. Connect, no. I think let's scroll. Vanderbilt's not bad. Let's keep scrolling here. I'm not saying
Vanderbilt's the classic, like, wing DN3 guy where it's like if he somehow plays 28 or 31, maybe he can give you 18 fantasy points.
Exactly. AJ Mitchell is going to be involved with that depleted OKC second unit. Oof. We're in the Bronny James territory. Is there anything further down from that?
Who's going to play backup 5 for the Lakers tonight?
Speaking of, so backup 5 should be Jackson Hayes definitively because Maxi Kleber's out a couple of weeks, so that was his only competition. But Jackson Hayes, we saw, how JJ felt about him during last year's playoffs. Not the greatest floor. A guy, I think, if you want to get really crazy, Quentin Post. Okay. So by the Steve Kerr math says that we should be looking for the reserve guy who doesn't start and might start the second half.
Yeah.
Right. I think Post has, let me say, 5% equity to start today. Just knowing Steve Kerr, we're live there, but 5% equity isn't even that good because we've seen Quentin Post start before and be an absolute disaster, right? So I think Post is a guy who, okay, maybe they are very strict with Al Horford today. They only play him 20 minutes. Yeah. Maybe they don't play a lot of Guy Santos. Maybe they don't play a lot of Will Richard. They opt to play Quentin Post instead. Post is a guy that Steve Kerr has a fondness for just because he is that guy who can really provide spacing in that starting lineup. And spacing is something they might struggle with today when they're playing a lot of Jimmy Butler, Jonathan Kuminga, and Draymond Green. So if you want to get really out of hand, I think Post is your click.
We got one.
We got one. We had to work for it. We had to get down to the Bronny James portion of the drop down. But you get past Bronny James, Quentin Post, surprise there.
Not bad. Good stuff there. Pat, let's get one quick draft in together. I know you got a hard out here. I'll click on it right now. And if you got to rip, my friend. But we'll get one draft in here, hopefully.
All right, let's do it.
Fingers crossed, top 2.
I know.
Oh, all right. So this is definitely like when you get these 3-4 picks, I'm always kind of thinking about like the game theory of the second round here because you're seeing a lot of the same picks at in the second round from 3-4 over and over, right? It's like pick 2 of Steph, Şengün, Durant, and Amen. Now, is there any leverage in maybe doing like a Chet ceiling game? Like, oh my gosh, like Chet's got like 5 stocks, 6 stocks in this game, and it's a Chet game. Or Reeves, like we've seen Austin Reeves have like mega takeover games. It's just something that I'm thinking about because like you're kind of screwed at this.
I love that. So like when you're picking not top 2 today, you should be drafting for ceiling. Like you have a lot of catch up to do from this draft spot. I mean, the difference between the top 2 and the guys we're looking at is like 15 fantasy points. It's a massive difference. So for me, Steph feels like the ceiling option at 3 that we should be looking at. And I like where your head's at. Jimmy for me feels very meh. Like I said, like they might take it easy. He's been dealing with his ankle injury. He doesn't profile like as a high ceiling type for me in this spot. I do like Chet. I don't know if Şengün is going to fall to us, but yeah, I think we should take Steph here. Though.
Usually it's Şengün, KD. Sometimes you see Amen go, but Şengün is like almost always going at this turn. But sometimes KD falls, and it's hard to say no to KD, but like just trying to think through like, okay, well, we're not the only ones with the Steph on.
So Şengün KD went correctly. So I think taking a swing on a guy like Chet as a second option makes sense to me. I think I'd be okay with Reeves as well.
Do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Tyler. Let's go Chet.
Let's go. It's Chet night.
Yeah.
Actually, we didn't really talk about the Chet Hartenstein dynamic at all there, but and Jalen Williams, no J-Dub tonight. But just kind of like that rotation of the quote unquote bigs for their team and the overlap. I mean, we saw a lot of overlap from Chet and Hartenstein in the postseason last year. Do we think that continues here? Do we like Chet as a floor with the ability to stretch and shoot the 3? What do we like?
Yeah, I think they're very comfortable with it. They went back to it in the finals when they got away from it. So they have a lot of big game experience with these two. Chet shouldn't be really managed with his minutes, so I think he'll be fine. And like I said, they're pretty thin in that second unit today. So there's opportunity for some of these OKC guys to play a little bit more. Okay, where are we at?
Do we like pairing Hartenstein and Chet together? Do we prefer Draymond, Kuminga, Jabari Smith, Tari?
I like Hartenstein, but
I like Hartenstein. I like Hartenstein too, just by projection wise. I think that's the right play. Yeah.
That definitely feels like I think like the first 11 are like, I mean, obviously there's tiers within that, but like, I think it's kind of hard to take anybody like over Hartenstein just because like he's such a strong fantasy point producer, especially in this spot where, we talked about the depth of OKC being hit and they're playing the Monstars on the other side. So I think, you're going to see a ton of Hartenstein minutes.
Is it Tari season?
Ooh.
So I think we have, I mean, we don't have anybody from Houston, so I think that makes sense, right?
That's good.
It's like Pods or Tari.
Yeah, you're talking about shooting for ceiling. Yeah, and I like the Tari, the ceiling for Tari.
Like, I think he can legitimately outperform his minutes projection by like 4 tonight, like play like 30. That wouldn't like
and that'd be huge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It really depends, I think, on like Steven Adams, right? Like how are they gonna use him? Maybe Jabari Smith gets in foul trouble. I think there's a couple of different ways that can come to life, and if it does, we love that.
Yeah, currently projected for 25.5 minutes there, which would give you about a 24-9, and then Pods projected for 30, so 4.5 more minutes. And his projection is 2 fantasy points greater. So if you give the minutes to Tari, we can push that up a little bit. Cason Wallace goes there and Caruso goes. So people are watching the show here. We get left with Rui. You said you didn't like Buddy Hield or Reed Shepherd. We could scroll past them and do the Aaron Wiggins thing.
I like Rui or Lou Dort here, but I'd probably go Rui. All right. I think for him, there's a path. The Warriors sell out on Luka and Reeves. That leaves Rui as a good option in this 3-point funnel defense of the Warriors. So I think I could see a path for Rui having a ceiling type game here.
Okay, I respect that for sure. Rui's just always been like, to me, he's been like such a boring click because what's Rui going to give us tonight? Well, he's going to give you 20, 1, 2, 1, and 1.
Yeah.
Like that's what he's going to give us. And it's like, is that good enough to win the slate? Okay, so we're out on Reed. We're out on Buddy. Do we think Marcus Smart Oh, you liked Steven
Yeah.
Adams, did you not?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that. That's our final pick?
Yeah,
I mean,
that was our final pick.
I think the only rub there is that it's like, possibly negatively correlated to have him and Tari together.
Okay.
But we can still run it.
Yeah, I still like it.
Wise. Yeah.
Who would be like your if a consolation prize there with who's on the board?
Man.
I know, right?
I really don't like this range of the draft. I think it's like Marcus Smart, like a dusty Marcus Smart,
Mm-hmm.
a Reed Shepard, who we don't like, a dusty Al Horford. I mean, respectfully,
Of course,
with the Al Horford, I think he actually can play still.
Strong dust. Yeah.
It's just it's a very tough part of the draft here.
For sure.
We look who snuck in there at the end.
We instantly had an influence on the market there, Fan, because you get a Quentin Post scroll at the end, and we get Reed Shepard and Buddy Hield going undrafted in this one. As Davis rolls in to say, Justin, please explain to these simpletons the 15 minutes of 8 3-pointers made by Reed Shepard.
Don't roll the tape back. Do not, Davis.
Good stuff. Anything else, Justin, we want to hit on? I got one last question for you. I know you got to get out, but I just want kind of like that Lakers spot. We think Gabe Vincent's starting this evening, and we think they like his defense and that sort of thing. Marcus Smart, a little bit more eased in this season.
Yeah, so JJ Redick said they are in their dress rehearsal game, they would roll out their starting lineup. And their dress rehearsal game, they started for Gabe Vincent. So it's like 90% official. It's like pretty much all but confirmed Gabe Vincent is starting tonight. JJ talked about Gabe guarding Steph as a reason. Marcus Smart, I don't know. Like, I genuinely don't know what version of Marcus Smart we're going to get tonight. It's been so long since he's been oft injured. I think the opportunity is going to be there for him because the bench is not that great on the Lakers side. It's going to be a lot of like Smart and Jake LaRavia in that second unit. But yeah, I think there's a range there. But he's one of the first in, so I don't mind Marcus Smart. Am I thrilled to click him? Where are you guys at on Marcus Smart versus Reed Shepard tonight? I think that's a good question.
I mean, I'm kind of a slappy like Davis, where I like the Reed Shepard ceiling perspective of like, we just get Amen can't handle, and Amen gets 2 quick ones on SGA or something like that.
Yeah.
And now Reed Shepard has to come in for lead handling, even though they don't want it. And he starts to knock down and he spaces the floor better. That's kind of just like if I was playing mean projection, I think Marcus Smart should probably project slightly better or like very comparable. But if I expand the minutes of Reed Shepard tonight, like that's the ceiling chaser I'm going for.
Yeah, I feel like I judge myself for clicking Marcus Smart. I feel like if I wouldn't really want to hang out with someone who would click Marcus Smart at the end. I just think they're pretty boring. Not a lot of fun. Like, what's the fun in clicking Marcus Smart there? I think at that spot, you might as well just swing for ceiling. And I think Shepard theoretically has a higher one than Smart, even though Smart has a more secure role. Yeah.
Sounds good to me, man. Ben, appreciate you taking the time, man.
Of course.
Look forward to making a bunch of winning lineups based off of your projections this season. Thank you so much, my friend.
Of course. Thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate you, Justin.
Awesome stuff, man. Truly, truly goated. If people don't remember like the OG origin story of like Fan, like, he goes back to labs, like Fantasy Labs era. Like, he's been around for a long time, talking hoops and grinding, projections and winning slates back in the day in a big way, man. Like, fun guy to talk hoops with.
Yeah, man. The GOAT. Truly one of the GOATs.
Yeah, used to do the ETR appearances every Friday as well. That was maybe 3 years ago, something like that. So he's been around the block.
Yeah, no
Nez,
kidding.
what should we do next year? Should we rip one or two more of these and take some players that Fan wouldn't approve of to make us feel alive, and then make a pick 'em and call it a show?
I think we got to go like straight to the pick'em lobby because I got something that's just like
Burning a
burning
hole.
in my and I think okay, so remove Shengun
Okay.
and then type in Shengun.
Okay. Yep.
John, I can't get this thought out of my head that Alperen Şengün's recording a triple double tonight.
Oh my goodness. We're going for the gusto right off the top.
I mean, dude, it's opening tip.
All right. We're going big boy hunting.
I honestly, I love this. I love this. I think this is so much fun. I think it's ultra conceivable with KD in the fold now. I just think that it's going to be dimes for days for Şengün, whether it's KD kickouts or slashing Amen. I'm all in on the Şengün centerpiece role of this offense.
Okay, that's fun, man. Yeah, Fan cited the huge boost in assist rate in the preseason there and in the dress rehearsal games there, that it rivaled that of Trey. So that bodes well for filling up multiple categories, because we know he's going to get there in points. He'll probably get there in rebounds because of just the size they have on the floor and that sort of stuff. So this huge boost in assist rate here sounds fun to me. Nez, we need an absolute L word to pair it with, though.
Another love play.
A love play. Yeah, we need a love play to pair it alongside here.
Well, John, unfortunately, no LeBron James tonight, which is, a huge bummer. Huge bummer. Yeah. We love the King. He's dealing with lower back pain. He's got sciatica, but he has a nice guy stepping up in his place in Austin Reeves. And Austin Reeves, John, has respected our coin quite well in years past. So given, that he's going to have a lot of work tonight, why not a double-double?
Oh, we're going big game hunting tonight. We're skipping the deer, we're skipping the moose, and we're going straight for bear and tigers.
I mean, since when has that been not what we do? Since when?
Oh, good stuff. Guys, remember here in the prize box here that there is the I guess I already used it. There is the Kevin Durant free square this evening. So go ahead and add Kevin Durant to a number of these. This would be a good one to add Kevin Durant to, just because it is a moon shooter. Nez, I got the unabated projections pulled up as well. So we'll put that one there. Yeah, this is tusk hunting. That's what this is right now. In this house, we don't slander Marcus Smart. Davis is cooking in the chat. He wants all the threes. He wants Case and Wallace threes. He wants the Reeves threes, and then he wants the 8 and lower boards.
Of course he does.
All right, let's do it for the community. Case and Wallace 3-pointers. He's just got to hit one.
We're front running a future X short that he's about to post. So yeah. This is the first look.
His influence over the market. Look what I could get these monkeys to click on. And then Ayton on the lower boards.
I hate that one.
You hate that one, eh? 10.5.
We're playing it.
I love that Davis got us to absolutely cook. We just kicked a 52xer, and he comes in and gives us a 3.8 xer. Nothing makes you feel alive on the site like turning 50 into 192, boys. Get in here.
Oh, my
God. This is an evergreen one that we've forgotten about. Case and Wallace assists higher was an evergreen one. This does not make it move. You're right. KD lower on the assists. That plays into the Şengün handling narrative and the Amen Thompson with the ball in his hand narrative. I like some of these shouts, man.
We're cooking in the chat, man.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of want to check out the unabated sanctioned plays in a half second here. But Yeah. All right, we'll mess around in a half second here. Let's play along with the chat there. They liked the steals, right? Steals on
Squish
Kaysen.
Sanders says.
Yeah, steals on Kaysen. What else did we have? Katie lower on the assists. Only 3.5. Wow. That does not. I mean, we know he's a flamethrower and he kills from the mid range, but that's really forecasting the ball, him playing like heavy off ball. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what that tells me. Let me check what Unabated has. They have Kevin Durant for 3.99 assists in their current iteration of the projection. So they wouldn't love it, but we're going with the chat.
For a multiplier, it's like it's fine.
Yeah. Okay, and then let's roll with Tari Eason was basically. I'm not putting words in Fam's mouth, but I'm trying not to. But that was basically his like favorite play. No.
Yeah, he was really into Tari.
Yeah.
So got to make that worth our while.
Their PRA for Tari would be like about 17. What is it here? 16.5?
Do we have just like points and rebounds? Doesn't look like it.
We have points and assists and rebounds and assists. So rebounds and assists fall short. Points and assists is really close.
I was looking for points and rebounds. PRA is fine.
Points and rebounds would be the spot for sure. All right. Let's play that one with the community. And then we'll find the gross unabated projection plays. That's what we'll do.
That's fun.
Holy smokes. Sangu triple-double, Reeves triple-double, and Phan rushing TT.
Retirement.
That's a good bit there. Dude, Cutter's been killing it. Cutter Gauthier with the 3.5 shots. Remember when GA, tell me in the chat who was the guy you rolled through last year with over and over and over again that got home over and over. I think it was Brock Faber. I think it was like Faber's ice time or something.
That's a sicko play.
Yeah, like it was like, hey, the ice time is still too low for like a defenseman on Minnesota. I think it was like that. Let me check one more here. Okay, let me run the S words on Unabated with their projection set. Don't want to get the market-based ones. Want to go in here, X out the other leagues. Gary Payton. Largest edges right now. Gary Payton either drawing into the starting lineup or they just play 11 deep. So Gary Payton showing a big edge with the rebounds and assists, plus the points and rebounds there. AJ Mitchell, them just being a little bit thinner and then, having a handling role off the bench there. Jalen Williams lower on the rebounds. Just thinking that there's more Hartenstein, whatever. I can cook with this. All right.
Let's go. I like that they have the multipliers baked in to the edge.
Yeah.
It can sometimes be like confusing, or at least it was. So like that's nice that you can kind of get a kind of better quantify what they like and when you get hit with these different multipliers.
Yeah, really nice adjustment on their end. Okay. AJ Mitchell higher on the assists. This is like these are. I will speak to watching their show almost every day during the hoop season last year, the Monday, Wednesday, Fridays that they were running. Like the plays that you truly get to and truly find these sicko edges on are like not the big sexy names at the top, guys. Like we talked about this a lot last year, Nez and I did, where it's like you either do the conditional and you get ahead of a piece of news that we think we know better than the site knows, or you go ahead and you find like, hey, like nobody's clicking the SGA market, nobody's clicking like that kind of stuff. You're going deep dive in here. You're going dumpster dive into these guys.
Yeah.
Oops. Jalen Williams lower on the rebounds there. All right, there's your unabated sanctioned top edge plays as of right now. Evergreen reminder, guys, that as minutes change, as rotations change, these can fluctuate throughout the day. But I feel pretty comfortable on a day like today with no push pull in the Q tag. Maybe Gary Payton, the second, does not start today. So then maybe that would have a little bit of push pull, but he's probably going to play enough off the bench anyways if he's going to. I don't know, reminder to everybody in the past there on the Moses Moody games of the postseason last year when he wasn't available and we all wish casted Kuminga into the starting lineup or still just started fucking Gary Payton. So that, you know, there's outs for this regardless. Here, I will share asking what you need for the unabated projections. I will share with you in the chat one last time here. There are a plethora of options. You don't have to do like the full-fledged props one. But here in the chat for you there's the pricing tiers from Unabated. And the basketball projections are basically $250 a month is kind of like that's kind of like the stock answer I would give you. The blanket answer would be like the $250 a month would be where you want to do. If you want to do what we were just doing and like only play the pick'em stuff, it's $100 a month if you want that. And then just so I can show you guys right now, I'm actually currently not logged in, but here I will show you with the projection sets. You can go to NBA and then you go to props. And then you can also add multiples of the projections. But you click on custom projections right here, and this is where they reside, right here with this buy now tab right here. This is where you download them from. CSV comes straight in there. You can also upload your own projections so you can, and then blend them. Then you can also do, as Phan was saying, like 4 sets of conditional ones where we can take players in and out. So like what would the projections look like if Jimmy Butler's P tag tonight turned to an out tag? And then you mess around with it in there. You get the conditional forecasting and then go from there. It's a very, very, it's an amazing tool. I'm not going to lie. It's a separator for people playing our draft games. Des, time for one last draft and then call it?
Yeah, let's do it, man. I think we covered this 2-game slate pretty extensively. Like the TLDR really is like roll a top 2 pick. And if you don't, I don't think it's crazy to be like thinking about the combinations there within reason. You know, I'm not suggesting that, you know, if you're at the 3 pick, you take DeAndre Ayton in the second round. I think you let that be done by somebody at the 1-2 turn and for their 3rd pick, or at the 2-3 turn rather. Sorry. But I'm personally going to be like overthinking my combinations at the 3-4 because it certainly feels like to win substantial money, you got to have Luka or SGA, and that's nothing unfamiliar to these games, having that sentiment. And it's not unfamiliar that isn't the case. You know, like we've seen sentiments be wrong all the time. That's just how I'm playing things personally.
Yeah. No, yeah, well said, dude. Yeah, I mean, we kind of really dove headfirst into it today because Phan was here. We didn't kind of give like the macro reminder to welcome back to basketball kind of thing, but like basketball is a projection-laden sport where projections are so much stronger than the other sports we play because there are no like outlier binary events like a touchdown or a home run or something like this, right? So the difference, as you know, you and Phan were suggesting, is 15 fantasy points between the first 2 picks and the 3rd pick. In a football slate like the Primetime Palooza last night, the projection difference is like fractions of points, and it's just who scores the touchdowns or not.
Yeah, I mean, there is not a big projection difference between the pool of players that you are picking from, but in between Holmgren, like the Jimmy, Chet, Reeves, Amen group, very, very, very tightly, projected. So you can do, you don't have to do the same player over and over and over.
Right. Yeah. Well said there, Nez. We take Luke at the first while we were chatting there. I think both you and I were in lockstep about that one. Yeah, no Jalen Williams in the pool today. He takes Chet there. We get Amon Thompson in the bad matchup to come back to our Luca team, which is probably a good spot to take him. And then I think Jimmy Butler's a tier break, but I'll hear you out if you like Ayton more.
No, I think it's Amen and Jimmy, but like if somebody wanted to take Ayton over Jimmy, and you think Jimmy's gonna, if you were leaning into the depth of the Warriors, and Jimmy's banged up, and you want to take Ayton because Ayton is like the truest five the Lakers have had, and how long, man? Like a calendar year, half a calendar year.
Well, since Christmas last year with the AD trade, but
right,
yeah,
right. Yeah. So like, I mean, I think Ayton's an awesome play. I definitely struggle taking him over Jimmy, but like if somebody wanted to get there, I think that like it's bold, and I think you could get paid off for it, but I just don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, like people do forget the camped out in the corner, checked out Jimmy games of last year with Miami when he was nursing the ankle kind of thing, right? Now I'm not suggesting we're going to get something like that tonight, but yeah. Nez, what do you like here? I personally really like Tari Eason, so I would put him in the queue. Yeah, Tari and Kuminga stand out to me, but if you like Caruso, I'd hear you out.
No, I think it's Tari and Kuminga, man. Like Caruso is a good play, but I think people are getting over their skis on the Caruso stuff. And so I think it's actually more of a benefit to do Kuminga and Tari over Caruso, because people are taking Caruso over those two. So I'm going to oppo that, because not only are people jamming Caruso in the fourth round, Caruso exists in the sixth round. So
yeah,
I'm not getting carried away with Alex Caruso, man.
Yeah, hand up for being the guy who was passing in the sixth round on Alex Caruso last night, because I thought people were getting way more outlandish. I mean, I'm more bullish now that Fan talked us into the dress rehearsal and he was part of the starting lineup, and they need him to, guard the bigger bodies and stuff like that. But last night, when my bro science cap was on and I was just kind of like looking at the slate, I was like, man, Caruso for the first 5 months last year basically played like 12 minutes a night or didn't play at all. Like he didn't play playoff Caruso. And then we see Caruso in the playoffs, and he has some monster ceiling games with the combination of stocks and threes, right? Reed Shepard comes all the way back to us if we want it with the last pick. Nez, there's also Gabe Vincent, there's Marcus Smart, there's LaRavia. Kind of all our favorite clicks are gone. I think I would just take Reed Shepard here and hope he makes a couple threes. Lou Dort's also in play. You like Lou Dort more than Shepard?
I like 40 minutes of Lou Dort.
Okay. I mean, postseason Lou Dort, maybe 40 minutes. I think tonight, 32 and a half. Something like that. 33.
He's playing way more than 33. They got no J-Dub. So? Yeah, no J-Dub. Like, Lou Dort's an Iron Man. He's going to play a shit ton.
The Unabated projections have him for 30.5.
Ooh.
The
Nez models got Dort playing a bunch.
Nez model's a little different. ETR I don't see. I just see a ranked out list. I don't see the minutes. I see a ceiling and I see fantasy points. I don't see a minutes. Just to compare. But yeah, every second that Amon's on the court, Lou Dort will be out there. I don't know. People have been talking about a little bit of Kaysen and that sort of thing, but Kaysen's might be a little small for the Amon Thompson matchup. I do think I like the Lou Dort Amon stuff way more. I think you guys are right. A little bit of a GM there, Nez. Kind of a fun team for us. Luka, Amon, Jimmy Buckets, Tari Eason, Kuminga, and Lou Dort. Just to tie a bow on it all and hit the reset for everybody, we were team Luka over SGA, but you can flip this any way you see fit. Then there was kind of like a nice next big tier where Steph kind of has the highest ceiling, but you can definitely see a path for literally anyone down to about Ayton. So kind of like Steph through Ayton, that tier can kind of be mixed and matched as you guys see fit to get some unique combos. And then the alpha from our guy Fan was that Tari Eason could see a nice roll tonight, and he was mispriced. Alex Caruso was mispriced relative to ADP. He liked him. His favorite fades were the say no to Buddy Hield, say no to Reed Shepherd, and then he liked Steven Adams as one of the scrolls there as well. Did I do our recap due diligence there, Nez?
Yeah, I think so. Feel free to run it back if not, but yeah, I mean, 2-game slate, man. You know, these are very like finicky slates, so be mindful of what existed before you entered the lobby at 2:30 Central PM, and be mindful of what may exist in lobbies that you don't get in. 25,000 entries, is that right on this one?
Yeah, 25,000 entries tonight.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Get ready to learn SGA KD teams.
No, they won't. It won't be. That's a bridge too far. That's a bridge too far. It might, but it's a bridge too far for me.
Yeah. Guys, this is kind of like a talking point for Nez and I. We do also have our first big slate of NBA tomorrow. Tomorrow might just be a monster marathon show, but I think one portion of it should probably be paywalled, or our Thursday's show will wind up being paywall. We're hitting the busy season here where we're going to hit you with football and we're going to be hit you with basketball. Some of the basketball breakdowns are going to be, a little shorter than other ones. Some of the football stuff might be a little shorter than it was previously because we're not going to put together like 4-hour streams here, but we do have like 600 some odd of you guys as paying members. So we're definitely going to be hitting on, maybe instead of a no strip Nez, we do a basketball slate or something like that on the Friday for a big one. So we'll do so much crossover between the two sports, but we're going to have to iron it out. The definitive preview might end up shifting here, Nez, to like a full football show on Thursday or Tuesday or something like that so that we can accommodate, the big Wednesday slates. But it'll be super fluid out here, guys. And it'll be, just look at the thumbnail on a day, look at the schedules for a day. We'll still cover the primetime Paloozas. We'll cover as many NBA slates as we can, much like the baseball slates throughout the summer. But the thirst for NBA and football in this crossover window is huge right now. And we're going to service both.
Yeah, man, we got a lot to cover this week.
Yeah. Very, very much so. All right, guys, we'll be back tomorrow. Shout out to the good people at Unabated there. Go check them out. 100 links that I sent out in the chat there, but this is the one you should care about. No promo code for us as of now. I did see a couple people asking in the chat, can we get, a discount and this sort of thing? Wait and see. Maybe that's something in the future, but as of right now, pretty fair price point, guys, where it's just like, monthly price point for the amount of work they're doing with the Discord notifications. It truly is a hands-on kind of service because Fan will answer any question you have. John will answer any question you have. Not me, the smarter John from Unabated. Will answer any question you have in the Discord at any time. They do write-ups on the slates in the Discord as well on a daily basis. It's truly a great NBA product, and we look forward to working alongside them again this season. Shout out to David for the 5, Magikarp for the 5, 10 from Spike, and I missed my guy Mike. Mike, what's good, my friend? Thank you so much for the 5er. Go check out what's going on the NBA Bit channel there. I know Zakarian's doing stream until lock and doing all this crazy stuff out there, so go check him out after this. Any parting words for the people, Nez?
See you in the lobbies. Best of luck.
Yep.
We're back, man.
We are so back. If you guys are interested in the redacted streets, Nez joined the Swolecast this morning as well for the second week in a row. Link is somewhere around
I don't even remember
here.
talking football on that show.
Huh?
I don't even remember talking football on that show. That was
That's a different kind of redacted. Everybody's favorite time of the show. The end. Peace. Thanks, Phan.